At number 4 on our list is Prisoners, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman, as a story of how far a man will go when his family is threatened. I thought this had pretty great performances and really was one of those thrillers that built a lot. What did you guys think of the movie?
I really enjoyed it. It was a poor man's Zodiac to me. I thought Denis Villeneuve, the director, who did the great in Cindy's, is a French-Canadian filmmaker. Yeah, I'm not French-Canadian.
I thought you liked this more than Zodiac.
I didn't, no. Zodiac's one of my favorite films of all time.
Okay, so what worked with Prisoners, though?
It was just, Roger Deakins' cinematography.
He's really
set that apart. I mean, this is not that film without him. He just beautifully set this cold, dead, lifeless atmosphere of Western Pennsylvania town, even though it was shot in Georgia. And I went through the movie, just you're so depressed throughout the whole film.
It's a very bleak,
very bleak film, and but it's so precise. Denis, it was such a great directorial effort. He got the right performances. He set the right tone, atmosphere, and it just unfolds in such a beautiful way. It's very Zodiac-like in that sense. It's just a great slow burn thriller.
Well, there's not much that's really flashy about this. Sort of similar to how Zodiac is, it kind of just lets its story unfold and lets you get used to these characters, and as situations sort of build, it gets more and more complicated and just sort of uncomfortable. And that whole idea of how far a man will go to protect his family when his child has been kidnapped, you can put yourself in that situation and argue, oh, well, I would have done this or I wouldn't have done this. And this movie does a good job of not really answering those moral questions, but letting you just observe people confronted with a terrible situation.
And I think a lot like Zodiac, this film wouldn't seem out of place to me in like 70s New Hollywood, where the directors got all the control and they make just such a wonderfully personal and yet unbelievably heart-wrenching and relatable film for the audience, an adult film.
Yeah, things like the ending don't seem like conventional Hollywood, but the ending was so perfectly, I want to say ambiguous, even though it wasn't that ambiguous.
I don't feel it's ambiguous at all. I think
it's not really ambiguous, but it's not as obvious and cut and dry as most Hollywood endings are. And that was kind of a nice touch to this film.
And one of the things that this film allows me to do is rant against modern audiences who will complain about things not being force-fed to them, like scenes that you don't see in the film, like you don't get everything explained to you, like, well, not just put right in your face, but that's because if you pay attention to the film, it's all right there. You just gotta read into it.
And there's a really interesting thriller here.
Yeah, there really is.
Why aren't you telling me?
This ain't right.
Why?
This guy's a fake. The girls are still out there.